There's usually groups that demand differently. So I try to film it and not have my ugly face on it. Because this will be, at least the first parts of it, we are doing from conception until like pretty much adulthood, which is kind of fun. So like how to make a baby, how they're born, how they're growing up throughout the years. And then my wife and I had one in 2020, 2021, 2022, and we're supposedly due in September now. So we're going to have 4 in 4.5 years.
Nice.
Nobody does that anymore. Have you all noticed that? Most people don't have a middle child. You have like 1 or 2. That's all they, which is fine. I mean, obviously we can do what we want. Right. Yeah. I have heard about that.
We need more population to support the industry, so it's kind of ironic. Like I say that.
I forgot this room is always 850.
I opened the door and I was going to open the window. You want me to?
If people are okay, but if people aren't.
Well, it's literally 86 degrees here.
Is it really?
I turned it all the way down too, and it hasn't done anything in like a half hour.
It's really hot. Okay.
Anyways,
Woo.
let's get a little bit of a speak.
Okay.
Assuming it's connected to other groups.
So I often, if you do catch COVID this semester, you go to a YouTube channel. I just call it Dr. Trouth at Central State. Let me make sure the internet works here. Anybody have internet problems? Or D2L problems? Can you all get on D2L? That's the magic question. That is good. Anybody here for their first semester ever? Or you're all second semester, second year? Well, then we can at least go around to introduce ourselves. And I'll start. My credentials are Dr. Trouth, LISWS. So I've been a social worker 22 years now. I started teaching full time about 2016 is when I finished my doctorate at University of Cincinnati. I did my MSW, the Master of Social Work was at University of Kentucky in 2004. I did my bachelor's was psychology. Any psych majors here? Like double, I know some are doubling up and some are only social work. And I wish somebody had told me when I was a social work student that if you go to a college that is accredited, you qualify for what's called the Advanced Standing Master of Social Work program. So you only have to commit 11 and a half months of your life to get a master's. It's basically like cutting out half of, I had to do 65 hours to get an MSW. It's 34 hours if you get a bachelor's from Central State University. Like we're accredited till 2029 right now. And so you get to save a whole year of your life and maybe $20,000, which is exciting. If you choose to do the master's, you don't have to. I would recommend it. It will double your salary, like right out of the gate. You'll get double the money. Make sure the internet works. So when I was a psych major, I was never told that, and then I had to do 65 hours in graduate school instead of the 34 that you guys would have. Do any of you know about the Advanced Standing MSW program? Have you heard of this before? I know those of you that had me before. I talk about it all the time, so you'll get sick of me talking about it. You sick of me talking about it yet? It's good news because, like, for real, you save a year of your life and $20,000.
You get that just based off of like focusing fully.
So they do usually want you to have, so your bachelor of social work, they also do often want you to have a a good GPA, about a 3.0. I have seen people get in with a 2.759, 2.799, 2.8, so you can make an argument, but the key is if you have to take some really easy classes and get your GPA up. So that's my first kind of like public service announcement. Anybody interested in graduate school? Okay, cool. The cool part in social work is you also don't have to. You get your license with a 4-year degree, but if you add that 1 year, it's like essentially a 4+1. I remember when I was an undergrad, I did not want +1 ever in my life. I was never going to go to grad school. I was done. So I get it if you're done. I went into the workforce and I was like, I need a master's degree. And same with let me make sure this all works. Same with even the masters, but there are good jobs. I work at hospice right now, and they start MSW, LSWs fresh out of grad school with your +1. They pay $68,000 a year, which is a good salary. Like that's compared to other social service jobs with just your bachelor's of psych, which is what I had, or things of that nature.
A lot of bachelors in general. There's quite a few that don't fit much.
Most bachelors, like what were you all expecting when you graduated? What did you think would be your job? And we can introduce ourselves. I guess I started any which way. Yeah.
Well, my name is Shanti Burns, and I'm from David.
Mhm.
And after I graduated, I really want to work in child welfare
Mhm.
and foster care and stuff like that.
You've heard of our program, correct? We have a child welfare program. And if you join this university partnership program, there's 2 classes if you've seen them, Child Welfare 1 and Child Welfare 2. If you take both of those and do your internship in child welfare, they give you a $5,000 sign-on bonus to work 1 year at Child Protective Services. So like when you graduate in May, or even if you're a December grad, there is sign-on bonuses to work for CPS. You only have to commit 1 year, so if you wanted to change after the year, you certainly can. So that was a grant we got within the past year. I know I cut you off, so sorry. If you were still introducing yourself. Anybody else next?
My name is Paige. I'm from Dayton, Ohio as well. When I graduate, I want to go into more so like the counseling field as far as social work.
Okay.
And,
So master's for sure.
yeah.
And you didn't know that about the advanced standing master's degree? It's pretty damn sweet, I'll say that. Because when we weren't accredited, it was 2 years to get your master's. Now that we are accredited, it's literally 11 and a half months, if that. That would have saved me thousands of dollars and years of my life, but oh well. I'm 46 this year. Our chair is 53 and just had a baby. So I'm like, if you can have a kid at 53, I can have one at 46. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just had a baby. Anybody? You two? Just do like city, high school, major. What do you want to do with it?
My name is Miriam. I'm from Dayton. What I'm gonna do? It's kind of like what she said. Like I want to work in the hospital. So
Okay.
I can get my master's.
That's good pay too. Hospital social work pay. That's like hospice where I work at. I think that's crazy. I started at $35,000 a year with my MSW, and that was good pay. Like I owned a house, I paid a mortgage, I drove a clunker car, but I didn't care. And you just do home visits. I worked at Claremont Recovery Center. That was my first 3 years. And I worked at Ohio Mentor for 4 years. I worked at Lighthouse Youth Services. And then I started on the doctorate in counseling at UC. Counseling and social work are the same licensing field in the state of Ohio. Are you from the state of Ohio? Yeah. So it's counselors, social workers, family therapists. We're all under the same licensure board. So they match up almost precisely.
Does that mean you can take the test. right?
Counseling license? Well, you would take your LISW, the Licensed Independent Social Worker.
So you wouldn't need any of your previous course, just right out of school, go into the exam and pay the fees.
You can take your LSW here, your final semester, and
Oh, wow.
get a license before you graduate. So,
That's great.
and then with the masters, you can, under a supervisor to just like guide you on diagnosis and whatnot, you can take the independent license test. Usually, shoot, let me remember, 2 years. You get supervised for 100 hours. Hello.
Hi.
That's the other thing. Does anybody have a sheet of paper? Because they make this demand of student loans on your attendance. So if you want to just like sign, date, what else? Name and signature? Yeah. Who else wants to introduce themselves next? Go ahead.
My name is Aaron. I'm from Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
I'm major in social work, and after I graduate, I plan on going to counseling and therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you might want to get an MSW
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but again, you'll go from like 30-some thousand a year to like 50-some thousand
Yeah.
a year. It's a big difference. Crazy. Because they can bill differently. That's usually what it looks like. Like the company you work for would bill different. You want to go?
My name's Ariana Thomas. I'm from Portsmouth, Ohio, and I want to work in a hospital.
Okay. That is very good pay. Hospital is very good pay. So, cool. Well, welcome. Do we get everybody here? Now we're on to this half.
I'm Andrew. I've been in Portland for the past 11 years, but I just moved back to Dayton, Ohio. Going to school, probably gonna get a master's and go for social work administration. I want
Oh,
to
yeah.
do the big picture stuff and kind of. work
That's
with
good pay, too.
centers. It's one of the top.
It's like the paperwork stuff that everybody's
And
Afraid
you can
of.
do charity,
Yeah.
funding, you can even do CEO.
okay. That's good. Well, welcome. You too.
My name is Brooklyn. I'm from Indianapolis. I'm a social work major as well, and I plan to go into counseling, more specifically, like I want to do child-focused therapy,
Mhm.
also like work with family units and things like that.
Okay. Okay. Well, welcome.
I'm Cheyenne. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. My major is social work, and I don't know the specifics of what I want to do with the test, but
Okay.
My name's Diamond. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I'm a social work major. And what is that's it?
Maybe high school if you want to share it.
Oh, I went to Scott.
Okay. In Toledo. How far from Detroit is that?
Like an hour, probably like 45 minutes.
So you could work in like 2 states and come back up if you wanted to. Okay. Well, welcome.
my name is Ariana. I'm from Michigan, and my major is social work, but I don't know what I want to do.
Okay. That's okay. It's I always love the imported name. You get to be called Mike Instructor if you don't
That's
change
what I
it.
was wondering. I was like, it's not you.
You can tell I'm not certified to teach online, can't you? But that's why I give the YouTube link. So if anybody catches COVID, we do have that. I film it, PowerPoints and whatnot. You want to go next?
My name is Naima. I'm from Chicago. When I graduate, I'm a social work major. When I graduate, I'll probably will do international.
Anybody else need to sign in? Because they make our student loans dependent on this. Like they snatch them right back if you don't get signed in the first few days. They're harsh, man. Like they took them from us in graduate school. If we had an incomplete and they thought you hadn't finished a class successfully, I had to get a special letter from the teacher who gave me the incomplete and stuff. So federal law. Anybody else not signed in? That's the big one. Anybody else to introduce? Is it just down to you? Okay.
I will.
from Detroit, Michigan, and I am in social work right now.
Awesome. Well, welcome. If you all, did I miss anything? Because I didn't snap a picture every time, and I am getting old. I don't know. It's not that old, but we'll go through that in human development. And psychology. Is anybody here a psych major or was a psych major? Okay. Did you have to take the human development yet or not yet? It's very similar.
I was gonna ask you that. I went through the lifespan.
Yeah.
Psychology.
It's-
Basically, or
it's-
human development lifespan.
It's very similar. And this is, to stay accredited, we always have to do this HBSE. In grad school, it's only one semester long, but then in undergrad, they do HBSE 1 and then they do HBSE 2 for whatever reason. They think it's too much for undergrads to take it all in one semester. So I supposedly put a syllabus up for you guys, and I don't know how to find it. Let's see. Did it actually work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's the only thing there.
Oh, you're probably right.
It's
Okay.
still missing questions and concerns. That's it.
I still have to get certified online, but usually, it would be the one. Is that, did I?
Yeah.
Content, right? That's kind of funny, but is it not visible though, or is that?
No, it's
On
visible.
mine,
That's
it
it's
is.
right here.
There it is.
Okay.
Silent.
Whew.
It's-
I was born in the 70s. It's not a good excuse to say I suck at the internet, but I use it as my excuse. So usually, that's really funny. I have office hours during this class, apparently. But I can meet you guys whenever you'd like. That's usually how, like if you had a question. The key is there's going to be often 5 major assignments on this. We have required text here, and usually they give you guys access. Is that still true, or did they lose that grant to give you guys access to textbooks?
Every single class.
So is it only a digital book, or do they give you a hard copy book?
I don't know. I thought I have to go work.
Do you have to return them, or how does that work?
Yeah.
Then what do they do if you don't?
They charge for it.
Is it a lot? Like 100? Okay.
If you go to buy it like separate, which I had to, didn't have to buy, but I went to, it's around that, it's like 119.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
This is a
I can also share PowerPoints as they come up. That's something that we're like able to do because they give it to us. The major assignments are we create a genogram. Maybe that's where we're different than psychology human development. That's like your first 2 assignments. Is a genogram is almost like a family history, and the point of it is that you're looking at the family history of somebody you get to come into you for counseling, and they've brought this whole family history. You have the city they grew up in. You have everything that kind of made them a person for who they are now. I'll use myself as an example. As I grew up Cincinnati, Purcell Marion High School. I ended up during college living in both El Salvador and Nicaragua. That's what got me interested in social work because I saw a lot of connections between our inner city, which was over the Rhine of Cincinnati. Any Cincinnatians here? Anybody familiar with over the Rhine? And there was a lot of connections between our inner city and Managua, Nicaragua inner city, San Salvador, El Salvador, and just like the challenges that came with life in general. And that got me interested. I spent many years, then getting into social work, working in the field of social work, and kind of specializing in addiction after that, and working at Claremont Recovery Center and a few of the recovery centers. Speaking of which, Ohio has got like $400 million in grant money for a lot of new jobs there too. So there's a lot of need for addictions counselors. Who all said Dayton? Because I know that's our new epicenter for the opioid epidemic. Maybe they've solved the problems with the opiates, but I don't think they have yet. So they're still kind of working on that. Fentanyl was one of them. They started mixing it in weed, so you roll up a blunt, you got some fentanyl in it. It can knock you out. It could kill you. So there's different ways they try to detect that you're not getting fentanyl mixed in with everything. Because now, I guess Ohio is it officially legal now? Like not just medicinal, but do you have to go to the store to buy it? Yeah, that was weird. You like go to the store? Really?
I won't be there until next year.
We used to get kicked out of school for that crap, man. Like what? It's hilarious. So
Utility and control.
right. So it is scary though. They do sprinkle fentanyl on it. I don't know if you guys have heard any of that or seen some of that, but that's some of the stuff that's come up. A lot of people would also, often heroin was cut with it. And the way they test it is they give you free help. How are you? We were doing all introductions, so believe it or not, you're the last one if you would like to introduce yourself.
Hi, y'all.
And then high school, city, major, what you want to
High
do.
school living in Kelly City, Columbus, Ohio.
Oh,
And I majored in social work.
okay. And then what would you like to do with your social work degree?
I went to be a psychiatrist.
So you're maybe thinking about graduate school too.
Yeah.
Are you a double major?
No.
Okay, that's fine. I was a psych major. I think it was an actual mistake.
You're not the only one who said that.
I'm serious. It sounds terrible. I still can teach psychology, and obviously we use psychology, but social work is 100 years old, and we've used the social work profession to provide counseling, to provide case management, to serve every nook and cranny of every city. It's gone global. It's national. It's international. It's all over. And there's some cool shit you can do with social work. So. What grad school would you all think of too? That's the other question. That's the last thing. We have a lot of people. Okay, I just remembered this. Miami University is chartering a bus to come pick folks up here next Saturday and wine and dine you all Saturday to bring you to their graduate school if you would like to go. And as of right now, all I can think of is the chair of the social work department at Miami University, and they do it out of Middletown, so it's actually close to Dayton. Their MSW program is in Middletown. They actually only meet, as I taught them for a while. You would meet in person 1 week, you get the next week off. You meet in person 1 week, you get the next week off. They're like night classes, so you can have a full-time job. It's a decent program. It's the most affordable in the state of Ohio that I've been told. That changes year by year, but right now they're specifically offering a lot of scholarships, and they're recruiting as of right now. Who here though is a sophomore or a junior? You're all sophomores?
I'm just over 30 credits.
Okay. They still would probably UC does this in the fall usually, and they only want juniors and seniors. Miami has not put that limitation. So if you want to get on the charter bus in front of the Ed building on Saturday morning, the 26th or something. I hope I'm picking the right date. They want you. They're recruiting you all. And so, has anybody heard about that yet? Okay. I hung. Let me see if I hung one up on the wall. I think right out there. So let me try to grab it fast. So you all at least maybe they put one of those little scan-ins. You know what I'm talking about? I'll grab it. That way I have found one. They say space is limited. I think they're lying. Because it's a charter bus. Like, don't 60 people fit on a charter bus? Maybe they're saying, like, if they're going to plan for a meal and feeding you and wine and dining you, they have the link right there. I don't know if they have the little snap a picture of it. That kind of sucks. That makes it real easy, doesn't it? What are those things called? QR code?
QR, yeah.
That's it. So, anyway, those are some of the graduate school options. Any questions about that? Because I'll say I never wanted to go to graduate school in my entire life till I found out it doubled my pay. I'm like, oh, I'm going.
Especially knowing that 11 month.
I started at $24,000 a year with my first social work job when I got my master's and a license. It went to $35,000 a year. We've had inflation since then, so it's gone up. Like I said, hospice hires brand new MSW, LSWs for $68,000 a year, and that's in Ohio. That's a living wage. I would say that is a living wage. So we do start at conception, pregnancy, birth, newborn, infancy. We do cover some of the theories that you would get in psychology. And our first assignment, is this Chrome? Yeah. The first assignment is a genogram, which I'll show you how to make. That's the only chalkboard. Funny. Oh. I'll show you how to make it as we get into next class. If you do have any need for help from the Americans with Disabilities Act, just like sign up with the proper folks they have at Central. They have an office that will help with that. And then really it's 5 major assignments as we have people do the social work application. And towards the end, there is an oral research report where you present on any major mental health disorder of your choosing. It could be alcoholism, anorexia, addictions, schizophrenia, even how poverty affects the mental health, like something that you would want to be like your specialty area. Like they always say in grad school, pick a specialty area and always stay with that. Write all your papers about it. Then if you ever choose to get a doctorate, you've got kind of a dossier to put together and start writing your dissertation. Anybody want to do more than a master's degree? Because it's 11 and a half months. Yeah.
Let's see how it goes after the masters.
Because now UK, where I went, has a 2-year DSW as a doctorate of social work, which is crazy because to think you could finish in 4 years, 11 months for your MSW, and then 2 years for a DSW. It is. It just seems like that's all online. A lot of MSWs are too. I don't know if Miami is, but I know they're hybridized. So we are not either. I know that's been a question. There's a special certification to be fully online, and we didn't even have, before the pandemic, I don't think Central had anything online. In the pandemic, everybody went online. Where were you all during the pandemic? That's going to be my next question. What do they do? Same crap online?
They just do us online.
Like you were freshmen or sophomore?
I was a sophomore.
I was a junior.
Like
Did
we
you
went on
have to
spring
miss
break,
prom?
And then they extended our break.
So they did have prom and stuff.
Not for the seniors.
Not for those seniors.
Really? So it's like, I call it a societal trauma. Like we all had trauma from that experience. Like it sucked. We had 3 COVID babies, so that was all 3 and 2.5 years. Yep. That explains, it's like the baby boom, because what else do you do? Right. What else do you do? So let's be honest.
Corresponds.
Yeah. Everybody's different. That's what I'm saying. Most people don't have a middle child nowadays. I think that's you. Do you all know what the average number of kids per couple is nowadays? It is 1.6 right now. So I guess they cut them in half, but it's 1.6 for every 2 people. So we're on in the U.S. Maybe Europe is also even as low as 1.3 per couple. So there's some interesting theories on that. I think China got rid of the 1-child rule. They had that for a long time. Anybody heard of the 1-child rule in China? They have one. Right. That's what I'm saying. Everybody's different. So obviously it's a personal choice and folks go about it how they like. But with 1.6, this is an interesting thought with as a social worker to serve society, if everybody only had 1 for every 2 of us, and we start trimming down, which, what's that? So I think there's a lot of arguments that make us really want to absolutely believe that. And I see some truth to both sides of this argument, which is like, wow. So yeah, because some say there's like not enough room on earth for all these people. But have you ever flown on a plane before?
Yeah.
And you ever like look out the window and see all that space and there's nobody there? It's like, we're really overpopulated.
There's a really interesting book, I forget the name of it, but it explains the theories behind that and how the industrial era actually requires an exponential growth as opposed to not the negative. So regardless of any theory of it, like, we'll collapse if we don't have enough bodies to fill the industry of the future.
Interesting. Yeah, so I know that's kind of outside the text. We don't have as much of that in here. We do go over lots of different, we still have the recorded class sessions. So if you catch COVID, my channel, as long as we don't say stuff that's banned on YouTube, that's when they shut it down. It's Dr. Trouth at Central State. It got shut down last semester. There's certain things you're not allowed to talk about, and then YouTube cuts you off. So I would tell you what those are, but then they would cut us off. So if you really would like to know, you can email me or ask me after class. Or maybe you guys know. Actually, it was funny when somebody gave a presentation last semester. There's something that they talked about, and YouTube shut down my whole channel. So sometimes you're like, what? Our final is actually a paper that will cover your ethnographic study of one's family of origin. So instead of tests and quizzes, how many people in here love tests and quizzes? It's okay if you do or don't. Social work is a writing heavy field because every time you see a client, you write a note. You talk with somebody, you connect them with services, you write a note. You work with a family, you make a diagnosis, you write a note. And that's the only way like billables go through Medicare and Medicaid. When I worked at Lighthouse, part-time, we didn't get paid till we wrote the note. So that was a really effective way to make sure we wrote our notes. And if you didn't write the note, you didn't get paid. It was as if it never happened. So that's what a lot of social work agencies do and why there is writing heavy types of scenarios. If my Dropbox works properly, I can pull you up the Ashford PowerPoint. Any questions about the syllabus?
I can't see it.
So I had a hard time finding it too. Supposedly, let me go.
It's not really syllabus. It's more
Well, I had the file, it's just not showing.
It's not loading. Can you, maybe it won't view electronically, but you're seeing it here, you're saying, like this.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
Are you able to download? Like, do you need Word updated?
I'm gonna have to do it on my laptop.
Sometimes you need to own Word for like the document to show, which stinks. I don't know if they give previews. So a lot of times, and we'll get into this more next class, you start with pregnancy, birth, and the newborn. Because a lot of people don't know how to get pregnant. And that's my bad joke for the day. Like, it's, how does this happen? You know, like, and we spend more time talking about nowadays, probably like you were describing, not getting pregnant than ever before. Because it is like the overarching theory is that we are overpopulated or doomed to, I guess, fail and collapse and like, well, global warming, right? So the global warming theory, anybody heard that one before? That it's getting hotter and like we shouldn't have snow anymore. And there may be truth to it. Like it might be true. I think their degree centigrade was 2. Like if we went up 2 degrees centigrade, we have too much carbon on Earth. We would all suffocate and not have enough oxygen in the plant. So there's lots of different researchers putting stuff out about that. What have you all heard about the global warming theories?
It's ice caps, man. It's a real obvious issue. Not to mention they did that they test for 10,000 years.
Uh-huh.
The gaps in between it. Obviously, you could say that this is something that happens every 12,000.
Mhm.
It's pretty significant of a change
Mhm.
in the structure, the way it looks. That has never been before. Catastrophic.
Yeah.
It's convincing.
Yeah. There's another theory called the grand solar minimum that some scientists are saying right now for the next 7 years, we're going through what's called a grand solar minimum, where the sun is weaker for 7 years. We're going to produce less food. It might be colder like it is. So there's 2 different sides of the coin again. So which one is it? They're both very similar. So then they did start calling things climate change. There's probably different climates that did maybe either extinct the dinosaurs or knock out other things that have been extinct. But what we do know is that human population, I'm trying to think of what years you all were born. What year would you all have been born in? 01, 02, 03, or 04? Do you know how many people we had on Earth when you were born? I always remember it in a weird way. My dad was born in 1945. We had 2 billion. My sister was born in 1971. We had 3 billion. I was born in 1978. We had 4 billion. My little sister was born in 86. We had 5 billion. In 1999, we had 6 billion, which I'm guessing you all fall under because we didn't have 7 billion till like 09 or 2010. And now we have 8 billion in 2019, 2020. It was recently we hit 8 billion with like antibiotics and like ways to keep babies alive. Before you used to have as many babies as you could because half of them would die. And that was a big part of it. Like you didn't know who was going to survive. So you'd have a bunch and that was just survival. Now we have a decent survival rate. The Midwest is actually pretty bad in terms of sudden infant death syndrome. So there's some stats and research you can see on that. A lot of us look that up about sudden infant death syndrome. They put out big campaigns. Maybe you've seen them before. Alone back in the crib, ABC. So the baby has to be alone on their back in the crib. Otherwise, if they got like blankets or they're on their face, they can block all their airwaves and suffocate. If there's a cover that suffocate. If you sleep with them and not in the crib, you roll over. If you drank like a lot that night and you're just kind of blacked out and you roll over on the baby, it happens and it's sad. So they have massive education campaigns to do the ABC. I think they added a D and I don't remember what it was. So I'll have to look that up for you. So we start in HBSE 2, they jump back to chapters 1 and 2 that's more theory heavy, but we start with assessing expectant parents. What's the youngest person you guys have ever seen have a baby?
14.
That sounds about right. I know I like on the internet you can look up there's even younger, but often I've heard 13, 14, 15.
Is that show too? About 14 pregnant.
Oh yeah, was that 16 and pregnant? Have you guys seen that? 16 and
It was
pregnant?
16.
I think, I don't
I
know.
can't remember. It's
Somebody,
I think it's
It was 16 or
16 and pregnant, which was probably like Jesus time pregnancies, but maybe people lived 30 years back then. I don't remember. I feel like people live less longer. So that's another thing we get into. What do you think the average age of a man is, and what is the average age of a woman? Now, I think it is. It went down the first time in 2 or 3 years in a row because of heroin overdoses and because of the pandemic. So like people were just dying. There's also a movie called Died Suddenly. That's one of the things I can't say the rest of. Have you guys heard of the movie called Died Suddenly? I guess just look it up if you're interested. If not, that's what they kind of shut off the channel for. So opioid epidemic has caused certain died suddenlies. A lot of folks have been shooting heroin. Like I said, the dealers to test out the potency would often give street folks free shit so you could try it out. But if it was too strong, you'd overdose. If it was too weak, they come back to you bitching, like, dude, that heroin sucked. Or even the weed, like you sold me some swag weed or whatever it was. So it happens. It does get more difficult. Say you're assessing expectant parents. So this is our first slide. You're assessing the expectant parents and you find out they are 16 and pregnant and they got the free dope by being on the street. And now they're pregnant, so you got to get them into recovery or one other movie I don't think they shut me down for. Has anybody here seen 7 Days of Heroin in Cincinnati? You have. Because I know you've had my class before. So I don't want to overshow it. Has anybody else had me before? Have you seen it then? Shit, should I not show it? You sick of it already?
Yeah.
Who else had me before? Did you see it then? So I can at least show you the trailer to get you. That way, is that good enough? The trailer will pique interest. I think there's a trailer. There's quite a few now, which is like crazy. I didn't realize heroin was getting that big. I don't even know how to spell it. Is it heroin? I spell it wrong. You gotta do video. It's usually like on USA Today or Facebook Live, but they won a Pulitzer Prize. It's only a 31-minute clip. So the reason why it is such a big deal is for whatever reason, the state of Ohio became the epicenter of drugs, especially heroin, because we're that close to Canada. Anybody ever gone to Canada? You just shoot straight up 75. You got the casinos and Cuban cigars up there. It's nice. It's fun. It's different. But same with 75 goes right down to the end of the country in Florida to Cuba. It's also very close to the New York side of the country. We're like in the center of it all. So we became kind of the epicenter for trafficking everything. And, this is old, but it's still modern enough. I'll just show you the first minute is like their trailer because I don't think they have a trailer.
Babies will be born to heroin-addicted mothers. Courts will take children from addicted parents. Taxpayers will spend heavily to lock up drug users. People will overdose in gas stations and parks and school parking lots.
A lot of times they give them Narcan, so it basically undoes the effect of, which I think our cop station just got it. And they'll shoot into your brain now, like through your nose, and then they try to get they pump your heart for you so it gets circulated throughout the body. And then it stops the heroin. And that's what they're doing with this guy here on the ground. The other folks are like pumping him. It works. So powerful movie. How many of you all have seen it that you remember? You?
It's the first day of another week of the heroin epidemic.
Okay. So, example being, if you are assessing expectant parents, and oftentimes child protective services may get involved because the first poop the baby has will collect 7 months of information from the mom because the baby doesn't really poop outside of the womb and utero. So like they've got everything in them for, it's like a track record of 6, 7, 8 months of what the mom has used. If that comes up, a lot of times you want to get them into recovery, rehab. Maybe they just smoke some weed with it on it and they don't necessarily have a problem with the physical addiction, but that would be, past history, social and professional support, getting them to rehabs. How are they mentally representing the fetal infant? Any attachments or commitments? Are both mom and dad there? History of loss. Even the sense of security. So like as the social worker going over where you live and how is the finances, how are the things that you've got set up for this baby, and then trying to get them supports for it. A lot of times, often you hear the social workers just take the kids. And that's probably what you've heard with CPS, which is both true and not true. Because if there's an unsafe situation, CPS does get the baby to a safe spot. Maybe allows mom to get rehabbed. Maybe allows dad to get rehabbed. Maybe allows them both to get rehabbed. And then their ideal finality is family reunification. Like no matter who you are, when you turn 18, if you've never met your parents, you're going to go find your parents. Like period. You're going to go find your parents. That's just like human nature. And that's another video we would often show to exemplify that concept about when you're 18, no matter what happens. Has anybody also heard of the movie Lion before?
Lion?
Lion.
Sounds lion.
That one I probably could show, but this is another example. Any folks been traveling on a plane anywhere? This is based in India, so it kind of shows. Here you can see the overpopulation problem. I do see what they're saying. But this dude lost his parents in 18, 19, 20. That was the only thing he wanted to do was go fight them. It's just like human nature. We want to know why were we created? Where do we come from?
When the Davises moved there for a boat vacation home, they didn't know about this view.
This is another one. I don't know if I can find the full.
Stop where you're from.
Calcutta. Which part? I'm adopted. I'm not really Indian.
It's a good movie too.
I'm starting to remember.
Sorry. How beautiful boy.
I'm very proud of yourself. Life I'd forgotten.
You okay?
I had a
He fell asleep on a train at the age of 5. It's a true story. 1,000 miles away.
I don't know. You on the train? Couple of days. Couple of days. It'll take a lifetime to search all the stations in India. You have any idea what it's like? How every day my real brother screams my name.
I always thought that I could keep this family together. I need you, Saru. What if you do find home and they're not even there? And you just get fragile.
I don't have a choice.
What was she like?
Beautiful. Every night I imagine that I'm walking those streets home, and I know every single step of the way. And I whisper in her ear, I'm here.
Not to ruin the movie, I think he might have found his parents. I guess I'll keep it that way. I think
This is a mishap.
it is a true story. It's like, holy crap. So I guess with Google Maps and Google, like the imaging they have, it's gotten better and better and better. You can look up some crazy crap, like Street View, and I think they've got it in a lot of countries. So there's that. And it again comes back to like, no matter where we're from, how we're born, how messed up our family was, we're going to go back and find them, period. That is just human nature. And maybe try to fix them, maybe try to learn from them, maybe try to get better. But nowadays we do have some work and parental leave policies. I am going to end on the next slide, as I promised, just a syllabus this class, unless if there's questions at this point, because we're going to talk about how you get pregnant next, which I think you guys already knew. I could be wrong. There's some cool details about it, though. Like if you're like fertilized and attached in here, it can freaking kill you. That's why it was important to, have the systems where we can look at it and watch it and make sure you're safe. So usually the egg has to attach out here. If your body, like the older you get, the less progesterone you create. So like a woman creates estrogen and progesterone. We've had to take progesterone shots because I'm 46. The man doesn't matter as much. My wife turns 38. And often if you don't have enough progesterone, your body doesn't think it's pregnant. So you shed uterine lining again. You basically have your period, and then the baby washes out with that. But if you have progesterone, the body knows it's pregnant and doesn't have the period. So that's another way. Sometimes a lot of miscarriages occur. There's lots of details that go into it. There's really only 10 days where you can get pregnant. It's scary and tricky because it seems like a roll of the dice, because it's still 1 out of 3. 20 days you can't get pregnant, 10 you can. There's a lot of research on this, one being the Creighton method that came out of Creighton University. You cannot get pregnant without mucus. Whether, there's the ovulation, there's this, that, and the other, but the sperm can't live without mucus. And we get into some of the details of that. But oftentimes too, you don't know here, because I think official pregnancy, they say it's 40 weeks. And does anybody know how many months that would be if you were pregnant for 40 weeks? Like if you're pregnant for 40 weeks, yeah.
48 is blocked.
38 is full term, you're right. Because that's 9 months. Really 36 is 9 months. So the first 2 weeks, they usually don't count anything. Well, ovulation is 2 weeks after the period. So that's what they count back to. The first week is your period. Week 2 is when the period's over. Week 3 is when you're fertilized. So that's why 36 weeks is okay. Usually they want you to go 37 because your lungs are still forming, the baby's lungs are developing. If they go early, they might need to go on oxygen, things of that nature. And we'll get more into this, but I am stopping there as promised because I'm not going way over. Any questions? Anybody have to sign in? Okay. What's that? There's one here. It might have been yours.
Yeah, I
And then I'll do it like my doctoral professor always did. Think of it this way: you all start with like perfect attendance, perfect marks, and everything, and we'll have a place to turn in each assignment about every 2 to 3 weeks. And you can turn stuff in on D2L, but just make sure to either sign in on the YouTube video if you watch it live or sign here and turn in your assignments and you should be good. We want you to understand all this, have it ready for, you can take your licensure exam your last semester. So a lot of this stuff is on it. That's why I would like to give tests, but I also know the importance of writing notes and doing paperwork. So that's why we do have more with the genogram is like your family tree first. The eco map is the second assignment. So we'll say in like 2 to 3 weeks, we'll do the genogram. And then another 2 to 3 weeks, we'll do the eco map is like what you do all throughout the day that takes up all of your time, be it work, school, church, exercise, social groups. And I'll show you videos on how to make them well. And then after that, the presentation on a major mental health disorder, application to the social work program, unless if you've already done it. A lot of people do it their sophomore year, but that will be put in here, and then your final. So that's it. Any other questions, concerns, opinions? I take them. Cool. Well, good to see you again.
Huh?
Good to see you again. I forget when you had my class. Huh?
It's the first time. You're gonna see me in person. Then you're gonna see me on that YouTube.
Oh, you can shut it. Just shut it.